Well, hello everyone. TheOntarioGardener here, back with another PlateUp Halloween update tutorial. Today we're going to be doing toast, or what the dish is actually called breakfast. And no, we're not doing beans today because you cannot automate beans. Trust me, if we could automate beans, I'll be the first one to do it. So I have a bunch of materials here, some items, appliances, etc. here. I'm going to be showing you a couple different ways to set this up. First will be the basic bare minimum, what I call bare minimum, to fully automate toast. And the next one will be using a couple freezers, and then we'll be moving into some advanced designs by using more than one safety hob and different configurations for corner grabbers, etc. So without further ado, let's get set up. Now you always have to have, to get auto toast, you have to have your sink with your combiner. The combiner basically does the wetting action for flour. It wets the dough, which turns it, of course, into a dough ball. Now, I am making use of the corner grabbers, which are introduced in the Halloween update. And I have a lot of people ask me, are these corner grabbers staying? Yes, they're staying. When the Halloween update ends, these are still staying. So don't worry about that. Okay, so this is our first basic setup here to get your flour's coming out, turning into a dough ball, and being cooked onto the safety hob. Now, from there, the next thing would be to portion it. Now, you may say, well, I should portion right from this. The problem with that is that you cannot cook another loaf while this is portioning. So you're really hindering yourself. The best way to do it would be even something basic like this. Oops, put this here. There we go. So what happens is this bread loaf will be made. It'll be here. The portioner will portion from the belt, or from the grabber, if you will. It could be a smart grabber. It doesn't matter. And it'll portion from that. So as it's portioning, this one is still cooking to make another loaf. So this would be your basic setup like this, your easiest setup. And then we're going to need, of course, you need your other safety hob like this. And let's see, we need a regular grabber here. And we also need, here's a corner grabber that's not set properly. But we'll go into practice mode very quickly. And let's reset this one to basically show you how this works. Now, I don't have one prepared, of course, but this will take a few seconds. Now, you can already see the issue. This takes a long time to bake. Now, could you use a regular hob for this? You could definitely use a regular hob for this, but you'd have to use a smart grabber and a jiggly bin at least to pull the burned dough off. Now, again, can you portion it fast enough? I don't know, but since the safety hob is 0.75 speed and a regular hob is only 1.0 speed, it's not that much faster. It's about 30% faster. And is it worth it for that? I don't believe so. So as you see, as this is portioning and these are getting put into here, your other loaf here is cooking. I'm just going to clean this mess. So you see the speed that this loaf is cooking, we're not even halfway done because the loaf is 10 pieces. So we're not even halfway done yet. And look what happens. This piece here, this ball, is cooked. So with this setup, you only need one safety hob for this to keep up with this demand. No matter how fast you're pulling these off, it doesn't matter because you're still limited with the speed of the portioner and of the speed of the safety hob. Now, you may say, okay, that's great, but it's still taking forever to wait. Well, the next step you would do would be to get a little bit more advanced by using a freezer. Something like that. And then here you would, it would just be something like this. And again, you don't really want to pull from a freezer because the same instance, if you're portioning from a freezer, you don't have a fresh loaf in the freezer. So the next setup would be something like this. And I'm not going to run this. You can kind of see that you get the gist here because basically you have your dough ball being cooked. You're going to have 1, 2, and then your freezer will always have a full one as long as you wait enough by the end of the day. Because one has to sit here to be portioned, and this holds 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 here. So this setup here will only hold 8 pieces of bread, whether it's cooked or not. This will hold your loaf. So as long as there's a loaf on here, one piece, this will have a full one in it by the end of the day. And again, once you get to your ending customers, just wait an extra 10 or 20 seconds, and then all this will back up and you'll be fine. But you may say, okay, well, that's great, but I'm still limited with how fast this portions and how fast this safety hob cooks. And the answer is, yes, that's true. Now, can we make it any better? And the answer is, of course we can. So the way you're going to do that is you're actually going to have 2 freezers. Now, this takes a little bit more planning at the end of the day to make sure both of these fill up. But as long as one of them is filled up, you're fine, because I'm breaking my rule here of actually pulling from a freezer. Because you will likely have one fully made, and then you'll have this one, whatever, partially made. And now we're going to go a little bit step further by introducing 2 frozen preps. Because once you have 2 frozen preps, well, you're obviously doubling the amount of, you're going to have 8 pieces of toast ready to go at the beginning of every day. So even if these 2 freezers aren't backed up completely full, you're going to have plenty of toast. You're not going to be able to out-serve these because one of these will have a full loaf in it and one of them will have whatever is left of it. And there's no way you're going to serve that many toasts within the first 10 or 20 seconds of the game. You just won't, unless you ring everybody and you have a bunch of tables, which most people don't play breakfast that way. Okay, so here we're going to be making use of the corner grabbers. This is obviously set up the wrong way. Now, do you want to pull from there? No, you don't want to pull from there. You want to actually pull from this. We're going to go into practice mode real quick, spin this back around, and then exit practice mode, which I love the new practice mode, by the way. You hit escape, you go to practice mode. Your character stays put both times, and you don't have to go outside. Now, this here is the next. This is what I would recommend as far as a setup. It's basically a 4 by 5, so 20 blocks. This little space here, there's nothing really that you could put here. I tried to put another safety hob or another freezer. It doesn't really work because you still need 2 freezers. Yeah, so this is basically the best setup that I've come up with. Now, let's go into practice mode. It's going to take a few seconds. Now, if you remember, as I said, is when you're playing this in an actual game and you're at this level of automation, these will have loaves in it and these will have toast in it, so you're not waiting around for that first loaf to cook. Like, you'll already be serving, the loaf will be cooking, you'll have a portioning here, but just for the video's sake, let's clear these messes up and make it look a little bit nicer. Excuse me. There you go. And I'm going to show you what happens when this comes down here and how this corner grabber works. Now, the corner grabbers are awesome because if you wouldn't have a corner grabber, you'd have to set this up a bit differently to have these pulling pulled. So let's just watch this. First one's going to go right into that. The second one's going to hit that, boom, right up to the second one. So now you're actually cooking them twice as fast. So you're going to have 8 prepped. These are cooking. You see how fast this is cooking? Now just keep your eye on this up here, right? This is the key thing. This will finish just about the same amount of time it takes for the rest of this bread to cook. And as you see, boom. So is there much of a delay? Maybe half a second, 1 second delay, and that's it. So this is pretty much the quickest way that you could automate toast by using the freezer method. And the double freezer here is still irrelevant. You don't need to have 2 freezers. This is just to have some stuff prepped by the end of the day. Because if you're at the end of your day, these are all backed up. This has whatever many pieces it has. This one's backed up. Now again, you're gonna have to wait for it to have 2 backed up, but still, that's perfectly fine as well. And there you go. So this is pretty much my most compact, most efficient. Let's get out of that. Calm that music down a bit. Way to automate your toast. Now, you may say, okay, well, how would you set this up in the beginning? Well, the first thing I would automate, I would always go for a freezer and a portioner, or a portioner with a grabber to a safety hob, and then adding your prep station. Like, this would be my first setup. Because when you start out with toast or for breakfast, you'll start with an oven which cooks over twice as fast, like 2.3 times as fast as a safety hob. So you can have cook your loaves, have it setting on here, you're portioning like crazy. And then this is the easy part. This is easy to obtain. Portioners drop all the time. Safety hobs, you can upgrade them from your regular hobs. Grabbers, as soon as you get one grabber or one conveyor belt, and you have copy desk, usually by end of day 10, you could easily have this part automated, if not sooner, depending on what your drops are like. This doesn't have to be a frozen prep station, but for me, if I'm doing breakfast and a prep station drops, I'll never buy it unless it's a secondary one. If you have this in a series somehow, which I don't know why you would do that, to be honest with you, this is the best way that I can come up with in this 5x4 block design. Again, you could stick a decoration in here, it doesn't matter. You could expand on this even if you're having too much backup. You could set this up to have a double setup up here. You could have 2 cookers up here if you really wanted to. Is it worth that? I don't know. Could it fit right here? Of course it could. You could stick another one right here, corner grabber off of this one, corner grabber there, and you could easily do it. But then, is that necessary? I don't believe so. This should keep up with as much toast as you're going to need, especially if you have both freezers filled up and both prep stations filled up. There's no way in the beginning of the game, the first 20 seconds, you're going to be serving more than 8 to 12 pieces of toast. It's not going to happen. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my channel. I'm getting very close to reaching my next goal, and any support would be very great. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video specifically, as well as my comment, please consider leaving me a like and a comment. I always love getting comments. I always respond to every single comment I get, either with a thumbs up, a heart, or a personalized comment back to you. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me, and stay tuned for another PlateUp automation tutorial. Take care now.